call the show One Time for the DJ.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go, right there, man.
All right. Yeah. Back in effect, it's Capital City Podcast. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
And as you know, or as you may not know, first and foremost, I'm a DJ. I am a DJ, a disc jockey.
Okay.
You know, that's the beginning and the end.
Go DJ. That's my DJ.
Damn right. Now, we celebrating 50 years of hip hop.
Yes.
And arguably the first 15 years of hip hop were really about the DJ. You know, you think about the early rap groups and their influence and all that, you know, it was Eric B. and Rakim. It was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Right.
It was Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. The DJ got top billing. Now, I don't know if you saw the Get Down.
Netflix.
Right.
Right.
You remember there was a part where the DJ, when they were about to start making records, and DJ was like, you know, what am I supposed to do? If you make records and the music's already there.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? And I think that scene kind of summed up the beginning of the end for the DJ's participation in the actual recording process and the presentation of hip hop.
Right.
You know, I come from an era where, you know, the songs were made for the DJs. Mm-hmm. And when you performed hip hop, you know, you didn't perform with a pre-recorded track. Mm-hmm. You performed with a DJ.
Right.
And that's how it started.
So I think it's important that you tell to the novice why the DJ's name was first.
Well, back in the day, all right, first of all, when they give credit to the pioneers of hip hop, you know, it's always Africa Bambaataa, Kool Herc, Grandmaster Flash. Their names come up over and over again,
right,
as pioneers of hip hop. Mm-hmm. Well, that's 3 DJs.
Okay.
And there's one more, since we're representing North Carolina. There's a guy from Edenton, North Carolina, whose name should be right alongside those other legends, named Disco King Mario. And, you know, he cut his teeth in the Bronx, but he moved to New York from Edenton, North Carolina. And in the early days of hip hop, an MC was there to put shine on the DJ. You know, he enhanced what the DJ was doing, talked about what the DJ was doing. And over time, you know, that got kind of lost. And but if you think about, like, the reason those guys are pioneers in hip hop, it's self-explanatory that this thing started with the DJ. The dancing, break dancing, for lack of a better term.
Right.
You know, you do that because the DJ's playing the best parts of the song.
Right.
Over and over again. Rapping, for lack of a better term. You're doing it over a beat. Instrumentals created by the DJ from the best parts of the songs.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So the DJ was so instrumental in the creation of hip hop. So let's go back. We know we like to start where?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. Now, you know, so many people credit, you know, the party that Kool Herc threw as the beginning of hip hop. But, you know, there's plenty of information to say that was just one of those types of events that were happening on the regular in the Bronx in the early 70s. And all these were orchestrated by DJs. First, you had to have a killer sound system. Second, you had to understand what kind of music, like even though there were no rap records at the time, the DJ, a hip hop DJ, didn't play music the same way that other DJs played it.
Right.
And it wasn't the exact same kind of music. You know, a hip hop DJ is gonna put on a James Brown record. Is gonna rock the funkiest part of the song over and over again for you. The MC will come in, kick some lyrics over that joint. The dancer's gonna dance. The crowd gets hyped, and it's on to the next record, and you break that down. It's different than what a disco DJ was doing or what your average DJ was doing at the time. So when you talk about Hurt, Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, and Disco King Mario, all of these DJs are operating during the same time period. But they have their little areas where they're the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember we watched the movie Wild Style, right?
Right.
Like Busy Bee, for example. Busy Bee was put on that was Disco King Mario's MC.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So he's the guy on the mic hyping up what Mario's doing.
And they all came from the Black Spades.
Mario and Afrika Bambaataa were part of a gang called the Black Spades. And, you know, to my knowledge, from what I've heard, since I wasn't in the South Bronx at that time, you know, you weren't getting too much done without their blessing.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're not going to bring $1,000 or, well, back in the day, $500 worth of equipment out and think it's going to be safe at this time to pack up unless you got their blessing, so to speak.
And back then they call it Bronxdale.
Bronxdale. That was a section, a housing project, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, you had multiple housing projects, but Bronxdale was one area, and you know the Black Spades ran that. But Afrika Bambaataa was a spade, as was Mario, or at least affiliated, and so the DJ was the headliner of the show, and the MC. You know, for years, they got to think, if this thing started in 71, 72, we didn't start getting records out of it till 79, 80. So for 8 years, this thing's been going on, and the DJ's been the orchestra. So before the rest of the country heard it, the DJ reigned supreme in the world of hip hop.
Right. Hey, so in my readings, and this might be a little bit off topic, but we talking about Kool Herc and the early DJs. How familiar are you with the Jamaican influence of hip hop as we know it?
Well, like there was Jamaican influence in the way that the sound was presented. I would say more so than, you know, like, you got to think who's around at the time. Like, you know, hip hop is not necessarily a Jamaican thing. Right. It's the way they play their music is something that infiltrated hip hop, and we adapted later. Gotcha. Probably, you know, like think about how heavy bass lines influence in early reggae music and ska. Mm-hmm. But hip hop was already happening. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. That makes sense as to what I read. Because I was like, I think the term they used was DJ Kool Herc wanted to bring, I guess, the the essence of hip hop back to Jamaica, but because they was traveling the world, the Caribbean islands and all of that stuff, and it makes sense of what you're saying, that it did influence the sound of hip hop, but hip hop was already going.
It was already
Right.
happening.
Okay.
So Kool Herc is a Jamaican, and they had a big, they had a, like, their thing was sound systems. But you had cats in the street that already had big sound systems.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, I'm not trying to take away from the influence of Jamaican music or or any Caribbean aspect, aspect. But
you just said it. Yeah.
But hip hop is a New York thing.
Right.
Everybody
Born here in America.
It's an American invention.
Right. Right.
And it's been influenced by all types of other cultures. Like even punk rock.
Right.
A lot of the early venues that held hip hop parties also hosted punk rock. You can find plenty of videos of people explaining that Grandmaster Flash and groups like the Clash, they performing at the same venues back in the day because they both fringe genres.
Right.
And everybody wasn't open up to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these people partied together sometimes.
I think the first time I saw it, and this is a shout to the staple in the Triangle, is Berkeley's Cafe. And the first time I went to Berkeley's Cafe, I was surprised at how many quote unquote punk rockers was there the night that it was a hip hop open mic night.
Hey man, even in Greensboro, the club that I cut my teeth at and really got my name out there was called the Turtle Club. And we did 2 to 6 a.m.
Okay. Damn.
The first part of the night, they had alternative punk rock style bands.
Oh, wow.
And the dudes that owned it, they were into hip hop too. But, they opened the door for us.
Right.
Hey, I got the spot. Once the band go off, y'all can have it till 6 in the morning.
Right.
And we in there rocking. And it wasn't about drinking or doing all that other stuff because the bar is closed.
Yes.
You take a nap and you wake up at 1, get yourself together, and you come out there in sneakers and T-shirt or whatever, ready to rock all night. So back to the influence of the DJ, when hip hop went to wax and they started making records, all of a sudden, the essence of what hip hop had been for 8 years already started to change.
Right.
Because it's not about, like, the DJ can't use those records to create the same type of music that's been going on in the clubs because this record's already copyrighted.
Right. Okay.
So before there's a sampler, you got to think the invention of a sampler helped kill the DJ's influence too, because the DJ was bringing the record back and creating the loop live.
Right.
So before you recording, that's why they used to use old disco bands in the background in the early days, because that's the kind of music they were rapping over. But they can't have the DJ just come in and cut up Heartbeat by Tanya Gardner. So when Treacherous 3 may Feel the Heartbeat, have a band come in and replay it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Good times. They didn't, they've been cutting that record and rapping on that beat. Then it's like, yo, we have somebody come in and play Good Times.
Right.
And Sugar Hill got Rapper's Delight. But you can best believe that was somebody's routine in the club before the record came out.
Right.
But they were doing it over the actual record. So now all of a sudden you got Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, but Grandmaster Flash isn't doing anything on the record.
Right.
But he's been a part of this group for years already. He's the centerpiece of the group.
Right.
I think one of the early records they gave us a nod to the DJ was Girls Love the Way He Spins. DJs want to be like him. You know, they were giving a nod to the DJ. But all the time that they spent cutting their teeth learning how to do this, Grandmaster Flash always been on the wheels behind them. And then all of a sudden they're in the studio and Grandmaster Flash is not supplying the music.
Right.
I think there've been certain records that came out back in the day that'll give you a good feel of how DJs used to do it. One is The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. It was a 12-inch single, and it's Grandmaster Flash just cutting the records the way that he would do it live. So he writes Good Times, Apache, Blondie, Rapture, Fat Five Freddy, DJ Spinner said, my flash is fast, flash is fast, flash is fast. He's cutting the records up, and it's on wax, and you get to hear a DJ doing it the way that it was done back in the day. If you ever want to know, listen to Grandmaster Flash, Adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. Another one is Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince on the He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper album.
Right.
Live. They recorded them rocking a show live. And you can hear Jazzy Jeff on the wheels. You hear Fresh Prince hyping it up. And they got a show going. And, you know, telling Jazzy Jeff, transform. He killing it.
Right.
But it's all records that, it's not their records. Other people's records, but being performed in the true hip-hop fashion. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, up until 19, like, those are only two records I could think of that really showed you the true essence of how it used to get down.
Right. So it probably costs a lot of money to make those records, to clear all those samples.
Well, back then you didn't, that was an afterthought, because the first time I heard of somebody really getting sued for using, this is pre-samples. So even those performances, Grandmaster Flash and Jazzy Jeff, weren't necessarily samples. They were live, it's the DJ on the wheels cutting up other people's records, but Grandmaster Flash made a new song out of a whole bunch of other records.
Right.
And Jazzy Jeff is the performance live. I think another one is Run DMC Live at the Funhouse. That's a really good one, because you get Jam Master Jay cutting up Billy Squire, Big Beat. I got the big beat. Poo, 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 poo. Here we go. 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 That is the essence of original hip hop. You want to hear what it sound like, what it used to be before everything went on wax. Listen to those three records. You hear MCs, you hear the DJ, three different examples. Like Run DMC rapping with Jam Master Jay, providing the soundtrack.
Right.
You can hear Grandmaster Flash just cutting it up with no MCs, just doing his thing. And you can hear what it sounds like when it's just the DJ getting busy with the MC, hyping it up, and they working together off each other with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Right.
And and for a little while, the DJ was involved by the hooks of the songs. Instead of you just saying something over and over again, the hook was the time for the DJ to get his shine. Or the intro. You listen to let's take Nobody Beats the Biz.
Right.
Dun, dun. He's Biz Markie. That's from Biz Markie and Shantae. But Marley Marl, he's Biz Markie. He's Biz Markie.
Right.
The star of the show. He's Biz Markie. Mr. Dynamite, So Fresh. Oh, that's from another record.
Right.
But that's the DJ doing his thing. And the part in between the rapping was when the DJ used to get his shine on.
Right.
And, you know, back in the day, you talking about the 80s, even though the DJ is not providing the soundtrack anymore, the DJ was prominent on all the records. And the DJ was still got top billing in a lot of cases.
Okay.
You know, like I said, it was Eric B and Rakim.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
It wasn't Rakim and Eric B.
Mm-hmm.
And that speaks to how important the DJ was. When you listen to those records, you know, you don't think about Eric B being the legend. You think about Rakim being the legend. But Rakim was Eric B's MC.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day.
Right, right.
And the way they built songs back in the day, they built them for DJs to play and let them grooves rock before the rap came on. Like everything had 8 to 16 bars of just beat. And any DJ worth his salt never just put a record on, let it play straight through. You put it on and you bring that intro back 2-3 times. You know, sometimes you can if it's hype enough, you can let it rock for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know, I used to listen to, there was a station called 97.7 down in Kinston. They used to go live from the club. And this is the early 80s. And when Billie Jean was out, like, you know, at the club, Billie Jean comes on. Man, what DJ ain't getting ready to turn around and play that part again?
Right.
You hear for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Before you get doom doom doom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But just that drum beat.
Yeah.
Like people used to get hype off the beat, the drums.
Right.
And that's a leftover aspect of the early days of the breakbeat era.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So instead of taking a song and then finding that part of the song, now you sampling and you just sampling that part of the song. So the natural leftover from that era is to keep that part going.
Right.
And eventually you get where we are today, the song come on, they just get straight to rapping. Mm-hmm. Like nobody lets the beat ride anymore.
Right. Everything 2 minutes and less.
Yeah, 2-minute song.
Right.
But that speaks to phasing the DJ out of hip hop. When the pioneers of hip hop are DJs.
Right. Now, do you think that's because of commercializing hip hop, or was this some kind of plan?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with how expensive it became to, like, some of the most creative songs that involved a DJ in the early days of hip hop.
Yes.
Were before people wanted every last dime for every last sample.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't do that anymore. So it's part, it's part of it is just because it's not practical from a financial standpoint. I mean, it's kind of hard. Like you think about, you remember Gangstar's first album? It had DJ Premier's in Deep Concentration.
Right.
So many samples that he's cutting up in there, even though it's not using a sampler, he's cutting up so many different records. Mm-hmm. Mr. C got a master plan. You're getting ready to move your body. Oh, 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 oh. Man, that's $40,000 right there. You know what I'm saying? He's sample Stevie Wonder. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's so many different. And he does this over and over again. Like De La Soul had a joint. Man, De La Soul's first album would cost him $2 million to put that out right now. You think about it, like it had a joint called Cool Breeze on the Rocks. Mm-hmm. And you just put together all the little references to rock, And so that's so many different pieces of different songs.
Right.
every artist that had a hand in that is gonna have their hand out. Like, yo, and I know back in the day when we were trying to put records out, you know, a sample was $10,000
easy,
and that was early '90s.
and that was just to borrow it.
Yeah, just you know, each time you want to put something in there, it's another $10,000.
Oh,
Right. So that means you want to cut up a little piece, like you know, you just want to cut something from anybody's record. It's $10,000 you got to give them. You see what I'm saying?
right.
Just to cut it up.
Yeah.
Like that's why, you know, Premier's still involved. He's, you know, when he produces records, he still cuts stuff up. But if you notice, he went from cutting up other people's records to taking words out of whatever record they just created. Because now the technology has gotten to the point where you can do that. Mm-hmm. And he can just cut, and he'll just cut up something that was created by the artist.
Right.
So you don't have to pay for samples. So you can't even get away with that kind of music. It's too expensive now.
Right.
You know, you could pay a producer or you can produce it yourself and you don't pay anybody.
Yeah.
But, you know, some of the dopest music from that era that you really love was so full of samples and the cuts and scratches was so full of stuff that you had to pay for today that you cannot create that vibe again. It's over. Like even when Rapper's Delight came out, they figured, hey, instead of just sampling or having the DJ cut up Good Times, we have somebody play it. Well, eventually they had to settle with Chic for Good Times, and they had to pay them. You see, like, so even then, folks are coming after you like, yo, I need my money for that.
Absolutely.
That's my baseline. I want my money.
It's crazy you say that because Juicy J was giving an interview and he was talking about his cadence. Mm-hmm. People pay him for his cadence, not because of his lyrics, but the way he delivers. It sounds so similar to him that they are paying for his cadence, and that's why you don't hear music from Juicy J as much because he's sitting back just walking to the mailbox.
Wow,
these checks coming in, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
I had no idea about that. But Juicy J is another one, man. They like, you know, 3 6 Mafia use a lot of samples.
Right. It's crazy.
You know, and you know, part of the essence of hip hop is getting good sample. Like since hip hop started, the DJ cutting up music from the songs that people loved anyway. Mm-hmm. And then you turn it into hip hop with an MC over the best part of the song.
Right.
Of course, eventually you just sample the best part of the song. Mm-hmm. And 3 6 Mafia is extension of that. You know, you think about I Gotta Stay Fly. That's from what is it? It's one of the movies, one of the blaxploitation movies. You see what I'm saying? They chock full of samples.
Yeah.
Ghetto Boys, like the South is part of the sample thing too.
Yes.
But, you know, eventually, like, you know, there was paperwork had to be filled out. You know, somebody had to go talk to Isaac Hayes for my mind playing tricks on me to happen. Another movie soundtrack, 3 Tough Guys. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it was dope. But, you know, today, like back in the day, you just record a song and you let it ride until they find out that the sample's in there. But now all this software, man, as soon as you drop that sample, it comes out, man, the computer pick that up like, hey, use your record over here. And you got to pay them immediately.
Right.
Before it plays again.
Yes.
You ever notice you don't hear Pharoah Monch, Simon Says no more?
Oh, because of the sample. Right.
There was a cease and desist.
They wouldn't even sit to the table and even talk about it.
Nah, that's Japanese. That was from a Godzilla movie.
Wow.
And they're like, nah. So, you know, now if you buy that record, that song don't sound like it used to. Mm-hmm. Hate Me Now by Nas.
Right.
The original the original version that came out had the samples in it.
Mm-hmm.
What you will hear today, if you go pull it up on YouTube, is a replayed interpolation of all of that. You know, the original joint had the opera, the real sample.
Okay.
And the drums were sampled. I know KRS used them drums. But if you go back and listen to it, it's not sampled anymore. It's all replayed.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, and eventually, so that took the cutting and scratching out of there, having to pay for every little thing you scratch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, think about how many times people scratch James Brown into a record. Ow! Ow!
Right.
You know, shoot, you got to keep paying James Brown $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 every time you scratch up his voice. Then, okay, it's time to stop. Time to stop scratching in the hooks because the song already cost this amount to make. We gave you this amount to make the record. You know, he gave you an advance. You got to create the album with the advance. And if you mess around and spend too much money on samples,
yeah,
you know, and they weren't paying attention at first. And then Biz Markie came out with was I Need a Haircut album?
Yeah.
And man, the Turtles put it on them.
Hit him hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And from that point on, people were a little bit more careful about how they use samples. And eventually they just kind of got phased out. You still have records that, you know, that have good samples here and there, but it's not the majority of the music the way that it used to be.
Right. Right.
And, you know, now, when was the last time you heard a DJ scratch on a record?
It's been a while.
You know, I really can't think of much recently that had a DJ on it.
Right.
You know?
Hence why you don't really hear stuff from Premier as much.
Right, but like I said, he still produces music, but he cuts up what he uses to scratch is from the artist that he's producing a lot of times.
Right.
So that, you know, that bypasses the need to spend that extra money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his production was so sample based that it's hard to, you know, it's hard to clear some stuff. You remember we were talking to Brandon D?
Mm-hmm.
And they sampled Billy Joel.
Right.
When I first heard that record and played it, you remember it's like a whole year later before they finally got all the business taken care of to put it out on a national level. Remember, Billy Joel had to not only had to pay Billy Joel, he had to approve of the final project.
Right.
Before he would give it the green light.
Right. J. Cole went through that too on his, I think, Forest Hill Drive.
Mm-hmm. Michael Jackson wouldn't let a lot of people sample his stuff. So when SWV came out with Right Here, you know, that you can best believe Michael Jackson said, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
That gives my stamp of approval right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But everybody don't use Michael Jackson samples.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if he ain't feeling it, he ain't gonna let you get it.
Right.
So there's not a lot of stuff that sample Mike out there. And he had a whole lot of sample worthy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and here we are today. Like not only the music, another thing that rappers used to do when they made their records, they designed the records not only for the DJ to cut up the intro. They would have little parts in every song that were designed for the DJ to hit over and over again.
Right.
Like, let's take Jack the Ripper by LL, for example. I made him play it, made him say it, made him okay it, made him obey it. Huh. And the music stopped and he go, huh. That's, you can best believe is like, this is a great place for the DJ to catch that. Huh, 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 huh.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like all that, it was designed for the DJ to get hold of it and get busy.
Mm-hmm.
Music isn't produced for the DJ anymore.
Right.
But like I said, the sad thing about that is we talking about 50 years of hip hop and all the pioneers. If you got to make a Mount Rushmore of hip hop,
yes,
it's DJs on it.
Right. Has to be.
And before you heard your first rap record, this thing been going on for damn near 10 years. And the DJ was a centerpiece. And now, you know, like.
Took a lot of food out of mouths.
Took a whole lot of food out of mouths.
Because I haven't been to a quote-unquote club in a while, but last time I went to a club, like, the DJ just played music.
Well, a lot of DJs still get busy in the club. The way that these programs are that you DJ with, Serato, Scratch Live, all that, it make it easy to do the things, the work that DJs used to do back in the day. You know, like, part of the reason that you had those intros on those songs was so it give you time to pull the other record out, put it on the turntable, find the beginning of it, scratch it again, and then you can find the part where the words come and you'll be ready to just start mixing the first verse.
Right.
But now you can jump straight into the words and have the other record queued up in 3 seconds.
So
it's like hitting a button.
The DJ and you, how do you feel about it?
I hate it.
Yeah, and so I was in the barbershop, and there's a guy in the barbershop that's a new DJ. And he was explaining this to one of the guys, and I was like, and I'm talking about, like, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And me not knowing that he was a new DJ, I said, oh, you're new.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it because it took me years to master the craft of, you know, drop a record on and 5 seconds later I can start it over with another record just like it, and moving back and forth and just being able to move from record to record. You know, I used to stack them behind the turntables. Like, I'd say, okay, you know, I have one record playing, I'm thinking of my next 10 songs. Okay. And I'm pulling those records out, and I would stack them behind the turntable in the order that I just want to pull them, so I could pop, 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 pop.
Right.
And you know, it's almost like playing an instrument to be able to perform. Like, you know, you got a lot of people that want to learn how to play the piano or the guitar, but it's a couple of years before you can go on stage and play in a band.
Right.
And to DJ back in the day was like, you know, you had to practice until you were able to perform live without messing up.
Right.
And it was more than just knowing which records to play. You got to learn how to use that pitch control and get them rocking at the same tempo so your blend sound right. You got to know how to go back to back without the record skipping on you when you scratch. So you're working on your touch.
Right.
You know, you can't be all ham-fisted and heavy-handed with the record and all of that stuff. And for me to have spent so much time developing that, and then, you know, technology comes along and eliminates the need to learn all that.
Right.
Then, you know, it was like it was a stab in the gut for a little while. You know, because all of a sudden something that took me years to hone, you can just hit a couple of buttons and do it immediately. Like, they got a button that'll match the beats. They got a button that'll bring the record back.
Right.
So dude sounding like what it took me years to sound like, I can teach my son how to do that.
Right.
In an hour.
Right. Literally.
You know, it'll sound like that, but it won't look like what it used to look like when I was doing it. And, you know, back in the day, you would sit, you know, I remember DJing in the clubs back in the day, you would have people just sit there and watch you work.
Right.
Because that in itself was something to see.
Absolutely.
You know? Like, it was, you know, little things I used to do, I know other DJs did too. You just add certain flair to your show. Like, I grab a record, I would, you know, flip it a certain way, let it spin. I spin it on my finger like a basketball sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And then drop that joke, pow, right on the, you know.
Right.
And, it, you know, all that's, the showmanship is gone out of it.
Right.
So, you know, I didn't appreciate that. And then, not to mention all the time it took to collect the records that I need to be a premier party rocker. you can have all the skill in the world, but you still got to have the records.
Right.
And that took time to collect. So, you know, I've driven New York, Atlanta, picking up records where I be the only guy to have this record.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes my party different than your party.
Right.
Because when you come to my party, you're going to hear this record. You're not going to hear this at this dude's party.
Mm-hmm.
And overnight, everybody got my records.
Right.
It's just a hard drive.
True.
You know? Stuff that I had to dig for years to find, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 copies of Sardines and Pork and Beans from a thrift store.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Like, you know, I'm always got my eyes open, you know, and so you could end up being a DJ, you know, like suppose you don't have Sardines and Pork and Beans.
Right.
And nobody can give you a hard drive with it on there. You better go find that record. And they stopped printing that record after a certain amount of time.
Right. Right.
So, you know, these are things DJs had to go through, and that was the growing pains. That was your initiation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started off with a crate and a half, 2 crates. You know, now I got shelves and shelves and shelves. I probably got 15,000 records still.
Right. Right.
You know? So yeah, DJing, they took, you know, DJing has taken a major hit. And a lot, you know, they let anybody do it. But it's a lot of people who are good with the equipment today. Like some people work the hell out of this thing, man.
Right.
You know. And I say more power to them. Things change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I know that if all this stuff disappeared tomorrow,
you still got those records.
I can rock a party.
Right. Right.
It ain't nothing gonna stop over here, you know.
Right.
I still got 2 turntables that play records.
Okay.
And I got records. And I could DJ for a month and a half and you never hear the same song twice.
Dope.
You see what I mean?
Right.
But, you know,
it'll probably never go back.
I don't think it's gonna go back. You know, you have people that want to do it for the sake of nostalgia, but moving all that stuff was a pain.
Yes.
You know, everything, like I've never had a regular car since I've really been heavy into DJing. I can't imagine just having a 4-door sedan.
Right.
You know, I can't do it. I still can't do it, even though the amount of equipment I need to DJ outside of the speakers is smaller. But I still carry, you know, a sound system sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially now this stage of DJing I'm at, I've concentrated more on building my sound system.
Right.
Than I used to, because I used to spend more time in the clubs and I didn't have to have a sound system. But then I had to carry 6 crates of records when I went.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that, you know how many trips to the car that is?
Right. Back
when
and
you
forth.
get there.
Right.
You know, you find you're lifting weights.
Yeah.
They're heavy. You know, and you get 2 or 3 people in with you. They help out.
Right.
But now, shoot, man, I see DJs walk in with everything in a book bag.
Right. Laptop.
You know, I got my laptop and a controller.
Yes.
You know, and I got a controller, but if I'm, you know, that's only for the easiest of gigs.
Okay.
I wouldn't use it at any major function just because I've already spent years working the turntables, so that's why I'm most comfortable.
Right.
But yeah, I hated to see the influence of the DJ go south like it has. You know, the turntable is an instrument.
Right.
And it's, you know, like I said, it's still some people who are pretty doggone good at working this equipment today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can tell who's good at it. But it's set up so that anybody can sound like an expert.
Right.
You know, some people go out of their way to do the extra stuff, though.
Buying different lights and stuff.
No, I mean, just
I know.
You can even see, you know, some dudes work the hell out of them controllers.
Yeah.
You know, but But yeah, back in the day, the other DJs from the earlier era were getting all that done with records. This equipment's come a long way.
Right.
Like, shoot, the crossfader, the introduction of the crossfader, you used to have to turn knobs or use up and down faders to bring records in. You do your scratching up and down sometimes if you had that kind of mixer. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man, I hate to see the state of DJing the way it is, though, because hip hop groups don't consist of a DJ anymore.
Right.
And in the early days of hip hop, they could not exist without a DJ.
Right.
And that's where we are.
Shout out to the DJ.
Yeah, one time for the DJ, man. That's, so this is my love note to the DJs. I salute you all.
Right.
We've been through a lot out here.
Right. And hip hop is still so young. It's just amazing to me how they've changed hip hop. And I hate to get on my conspiracy or soapbox, but it's like it's so many other examples I can use, but this one is near and dear, where our people was, we didn't have much, and we took and made it something, and they've taken something else from it to now it's almost like hip hop itself. Like, somebody asked me the other day, what's the difference between hip hop and rap music? And like, I answered the question, but when I really sat down and thought about it, it was like hip hop is like a dinosaur, because so much has been taken away from the art form.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be. Like,
it's just rap now.
Yeah, it's just rap now.
Yeah.
And just like every other art form, like the way that I watched the Elvis movie the other day.
Okay.
And Elvis made more money than Chuck Berry.
Of course.
More money than Little Richard.
Of course.
More money than Big Mama Thornton.
Right.
Who sang Hound Dog.
Mm-hmm.
But the music he was singing was, was black R&B.
Absolutely.
So I see the same thing with DJing. When I look at DJs like David Guetta and all these big cats, filling stadiums, and it's about the DJ.
Right. And
our DJs don't get that kind of attention, don't make that kind of money.
Absolutely.
It's
funny that you watched the Elvis movie that was made, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm, it was recent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they took R. Kelly's music down, and him and Elvis in the same. Elvis' wife was 13.
Oh nah, that was Jerry Lee Lewis.
And Elvis Presley too.
No, he didn't. His wife wasn't 13.
Oh, I thought.
No, that was Jerry Lee Lewis. He married his 13-year-old cousin. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he suffered greatly for that though. Like, he got canceled. Believe he got canceled back in the day when he showed up
Jerry
with
Lewis.
13-year-old wife that he's related to. But yeah. That did not fly. But yeah, the same thing that Elvis was able to do with black music, I see techno DJs able to do today. Like, they standing there DJing for stadiums full of people. It's 10,000 people at an event,
right,
waiting to rock out to a DJ. And that's something, that opportunity was never afforded to Kool Herc,
right, or
Africa Bambaataa or Grandmaster Flash. Just for them to stand on the stage and have people, when that's, even though they're not playing hip hop, right, it's a DJ.
It's still the same, yeah.
And they're DJing.
Right.
And the crowd is at their mercy. And that in itself, you know, and when you think about it, that's something that we didn't get the opportunity to capitalize on.
Right. I remember Waka Flocka did the album, went on tour with the EDM DJ, and he was talking about how big those crowds were.
Right, and they're following the DJ.
Yeah, not because Waka Flocka was there.
Calvin Harris and all these cats. Like they're multimillionaires.
Right.
And they're just going back and forth playing records. Sometimes it's stuff they produce. But, you know, how come Premier didn't get the opportunity?
Right.
It's the same thing that happened with jazz and rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, Elvis is the king of rock and roll and not Chuck Berry and Little Richard.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, same thing with the blues now. When you go to a blues club, you know, it's not us sitting out there enjoying the blues anymore.
Right.
But these are art forms that we created.
Well, that's what we wanted, right? So it's not just
I think I would prefer to be the dude standing up there DJing for 10,000 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's right.
I'm not saying the dudes aren't good at what they do, but you got to remember, like, where even the idea of the DJ being that popular came from. Hip hop.
Yes.
People came to the clubs because of the DJ. People came to the shows to hit MCs because of the DJ.
Right.
And now, you know, DJing has elevated to its highest point, and people making millions of dollars, and it's none of the people that started the essence of the DJ as the centerpiece.
Absolutely. That was a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I got to say tonight, guys. Monetize however you can, and next time we invent something, we gotta figure out how to keep it in the family.
Is it possible?
I don't know, but there's, you know, it's never over because there's always gonna be something else is coming.
Absolutely,
there'll be something else.
Now it's culture.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there will be something else.
Right.
So. Monetize, people. And one time for the DJ. I'm Capital J, your host. It's Capital City Podcast alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
And we'll see y'all next time.